Here we go again, folks, another Hideo Kojima tweet to analyze. On April 23rd, 2017, Hideo Kojima posted the following tweet with the message, "Big Fish Eat Little Fish" by Peter Bruegel. Death Stranding? Attached to the tweet is an image of the artwork in question. Funny story, I was actually made aware of this by Donna Burke, who essentially tasked upon me to make a 1-hour Death Stranding analysis special based on this information, to which I prematurely agreed to. This analysis won't be an hour long, but I do think that Kojima's tweet is worth discussing. So, Big Fish Eat Little Fish by Peter Bruegel. Just what is it, you may ask? Well, a very good description of it can be found on the Metropolitan Museum of Art's official website, and it's something that I'd like to present to you guys. The description goes as follows. One of the most haunting of Bruegel's images, Big Fish Eat Little Fish is among the first of the artist's many treatments of proverbs in paintings or prints. The image reveals many small and large fish tumbling out of the mouth of an enormous beached fish. A small helmeted figure with an oversized knife slices open the big fish's belly, revealing even more marine creatures. Land, air, and water seem to be overrun by an odd assortment of real and fantastic fish, while in the foreground a man, accompanied by his son, gestures towards the scene. The meaning of this gesture is conveyed in the Flemish inscription below, which translates, "Look, son, I have long known that the big fish eat the small." This vernacular form of the ancient Latin proverb, which appears in majuscule lettering just above, relates to the theme of a senseless world in which the powerful instinctively and consistently prey on the weak. That the son understands the lesson is apparent from his gesture towards the other man in the boat, who has extracted a small fish from a larger one. Bruegel's brilliant visualization of the proverb was first conceived as a drawing that is signed by the artist and dated 1556. This engraving by Peter van der Heyden, however, is signed in the lower left corner with the name Hieronymus Bosch, who had died in 1516. The print's publisher, Hieronymus Koch, was probably responsible for replacing Bruegel's name with that of the more famous and salable Bosch, who had not coincidentally a major influence on Bruegel. The part of the description that I want to focus on for this video is the main theme of the painting, which is the idea that the powerful and the strong instinctively and consistently prey upon the weak. This, I believe, will be a major aspect of Death Stranding. And it's not just because Death Stranding shares some similar imagery to Bruegel's artwork. Even beyond the similar imagery, this idea of the strong oppressing and preying on the weak seems to permeate throughout Death Stranding. Towards the end of the first trailer, we see 5 monolithic figures looming over Norman's character, powerful entities seemingly preying upon the weaker human. In the second trailer, we see that humanity as a whole has been ravaged by powerful forces who can seemingly animate inanimate objects like armored vehicles and planes, as well as skeleton corpses. An imagery like the human bone dangling from the side of this organically reconfigured tank further seem to display a dominion over the human race. The way I look at it is that Death Stranding is the next stage of the ideas presented in Bruegel's artwork. If we look at the Big Fish Eat Little Fish sketch, you will notice that humans are presented as the biggest fish. And I don't mean in terms of size, I mean in terms of who the dominant species is. All the humans in this image are not only unharmed, but can also be seen preying upon and butchering the inferior sea creatures. Just look at the way the man on the boat is casually cutting a fish open, the way these two men have completely subjugated the large fish in the center, the way the man on the right here is using a smaller fish as bait to catch bigger fish, and the way the man on the left here is climbing a tree with a butchered fish to hang on a tree branch. You clearly get the sense here that fish simply don't stand a chance against the more intellectually superior humans. Now, in Death Stranding, there seem to be even more superior beings who have dominated the humans who once used to rule as the dominating species. This is clearly conveyed by the 5 monolithic figures seen at the end of the first trailer and Mads Mikkelsen's character seen at the end of the second trailer, both of which have human form but display inhuman powers. Beyond that though, we really don't know anything else about the entities who are acting as the new big fish, suppressing the now smaller fish humans. Now, it is my belief that we can find further hints by focusing on the words Homo ludens, a concept that Kojima introduced even before Death Stranding was announced. The word ludens plays such an important role in the philosophies of the new Kojima productions that it has now become synonymous with the name of their mascot. Most of you are probably well aware by now that the word ludens was derived from the Latin word for playing, with homo ludens meaning the playing man. Now, what you may not know is that the word ludens might also have been inspired by the science fiction novel The Time Wanderers. The Time Wanderers revolves around 2 characters, Maxim Kammerer and Tolvo Glumov, both of who work for an organization that investigates unexplained events, or UEs. Their investigation eventually leads them to the discovery that these UEs were caused by a secret society called the Ludens, entities who are born human but possess latent mental powers that are far beyond a normal human's. And these Ludens view themselves as a distinct race who have different interests from humanity at large, claiming themselves to be above traditional human morality. They even go as far as experimenting on normal humans as a means of altering their minds and to further their own goals. The story eventually culminates with the 2 protagonists exposing the Ludens to the world. But along the way, they find that one of the protagonists, Tolmo Glumov, actually possesses the capabilities of a Luden. Tolvo Glumov's powers have just begun to instantiate, and so now he must decide whether to side with the humans or the Ludens. At first, Tolvo basically says, "No way I'm siding with the Ludens," as he deems that to be a betrayal to his friends, his family, and the human race. But at one point in the story, Glumov decides to try to be a Luden, if only as a means to be a human ambassador. Eventually, all contact with Glumov is lost, and it is assumed that he completely sided with the Ludens, with some theorizing that Glumov might have been part of the Luden society all along. And that's pretty much where the story ends. Bizarre, I know. But there's very little chance that Kojima didn't draw inspiration from the Time Wanderers one way or another. And it is my belief that in the same manner that the Time Wanderers features beings that are superior to humans and are looking down on humans, calling themselves Ludens for that matter, Death Stranding may also feature beings who have transcended human capabilities and are looking down on humans and suppressing them, just like the human race once did on all of the other species on the planet. And perhaps therein lies the significance of Kojima tweeting about Bruegel's Big Fish Eat Little Fish artwork, which presents the idea that the strong constantly prey upon the weak. And this concept not only applies to the whole animal kingdom, but also on a species-by-species basis. The stronger fish will prey upon the weaker fish. The stronger human will prey upon the weaker human. The result of this process over the course of millions of years is evolution through natural selection. The concept of big fish eat little fish could also be attributed to survival of the fittest. And maybe we're seeing something similar here in Death Stranding. Perhaps we're seeing beings who have evolved above humans and are taking over. It's survival of the fittest. It's big fish eat little fish. It's humanity being taken to their next stage of evolution and what have you. Now, one theory that I have about the identity of Death Stranding's equivalent to the Time Wanderers Ludens is that they are us, the players. I keep coming back to the message from Sapiens to Ludens presented in the official Kojima Productions website. For me, the statement evokes a sense of transcendence that is not too dissimilar to what we're seeing in the Time Wanderers with the Ludens. As I stated before, the Ludens in the Time Wanderers are beings who are born human, or sapiens, but become something more, Ludens, as their latent powers awaken. So what if Kojima's goal is to empower players with that same feeling of transcendence through Death Stranding's narrative and gameplay? What if us, the players, in a very meta and fourth wall breaking fashion, are meant to be the beings that transcend the world of the game that we're playing, whereas the in-game characters are meant to be the smaller fish that reside within the confines of the game world. Do keep in mind that Kojima has already confirmed he will be breaking the fourth wall with Death Stranding. I should also note that Norman Reedus stated in an interview that, according to Kojima, players won't just be playing as Norman's character, they will be him.
Then he goes, and I go, playing me? And he goes, no, they'll be you.
The implication is that Kojima intends to directly insert the players into Death Stranding. So perhaps the game will begin with us playing as Norman, and then Norman will transcend somehow to become us, the player, to become something akin to a Luden, the Homo Ludens. Those who play will go from Sapien to Luden. All right, I'm going crazy here. Let's dial it back down. Fourth wall breaking implications aside, the main point of this video is to present the notion that the theme of the strong instinctively preying upon the weak, as presented by Peter Bruegel's Big Fish Eat Little Fish sketch, may be conveyed in Death Stranding. We have seen hints of this throughout the trailers, and now Kojima is directly tweeting about it. But this time, instead of the humans being the big fish or the dominating species, we will see entities that transcend humans, akin to the Ludens in the Time Wanderers, who will act as the new dominating species, or the new big fish. One last thing I'd like to note is that the poem featured in the first Death Stranding trailer, Auguries of Innocence by William Blake, also presents similar themes. If you look past the first 4 lines, you will notice that the poem eventually delves into ideas relating to the mistreatment of God's creations and the repercussions that result from such acts. But in Death Stranding, perhaps it's the humans who will be victimized by superior beings and suffer the same type of subjugation that other species have known. So yeah, there's a lot to think about here, and do keep in mind, this is all theory and speculation. I could be way off the mark. At the very least, I don't think that Kojima tweeted Bruegel's artwork and referenced Death Stranding in the same tweet for no reason. There's something about Big Fish Eat Little Fish that sparked Kojima's mind, and I think we will see aspects of its ideas be implemented in the final game. With that, I would like to end this Death Stranding analysis. Thank you for tuning in. What are your thoughts on the matter? Any theories about how Peter Bruegel's Big Fish Eat Little Fish artwork might be related to the themes, narrative, and gameplay of Death Stranding? Let us know in the comments below, and to be further updated on all things Death Stranding, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.